Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stassi. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to be talking about vampires today and continuing on our mini series, all talking about the lore of The Sims 4. And I am so excited to have Gonz, Nardvillian, and Disney here this morning. So thank you all for coming today.
My pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to learn. I learn so much out of these. If anyone can actually see my face the whole time, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But before we dive in, let's do a quick round of introductions. Gonz, you go first.
Absolutely. My name is Gonz. I am a Sims content creator on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch streamer. I feel like I have two different personalities depending on where you're watching me. On Twitch, I'm all about chaos. Me and the Awful Gamer have that going for us. But on my content creation, I'm just all about lore and having fun cooking horrible things.
I love that. Nard, how about you? Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
I'm Nardvillian. I have one personality. I'm usually cringe on all platforms. Very cringe. Surprised you're still inviting me and you're not canceled yet, but I really appreciate being on the podcast. Do mostly gameplay stuff, little tips and tricks here and there. I do some really crappy, horrible builds, challenges. And when I'm not doing that, I'm just doing little Sims 4 skits, you know? Been almost 3 years. December 14th will be 3 years. So hanging in there strong.
This podcast is coming out Wednesday. That would be literally tomorrow. Tomorrow would be your... That is so exciting. What are you going to do to celebrate? I think you said you were going to do a Twitch stream, right?
I don't know yet. I'm thinking about maybe, hopefully by the time this airs, I'll know exactly what I'm going to do. But I do want to do something with the community on all the platforms at some point. But I do want to launch some merch next week or upcoming week. And I want to do a stream where I do like a Q&A, get the community involved, maybe have them ask me some questions before then, and maybe do some Let's Play, maybe, you know, build some content together. And I don't know, just kind of like, just hang out with the community. I mean, a lot of them been with me for 3 years. So I want to just give back and just hang out, do something really cool. It's going to be an emotional day for me for sure. I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm almost tearing up now, but y'all don't want to see a little cringe dude cry right now. You know?
Oh my God.
Not a good look.
Cry. You should cry. That's how you got famous, Nerd.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah, no one's safe in this group.
I know, no one's safe. No one's safe. But anyway, yeah.
Well,
go with me.
Thank you for coming. And I have to say this as a sports fan, the Packers did beat the Chiefs last week. And I have to acknowledge, because I was trolling you so hard all week, that they did win. And that was just a freebie. Just to show what's going to happen if they both make it to the playoffs.
Super Bowl, because if the next time they play, will be the Super Bowl.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it'd be Packers versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Swifties.
Yeah. Taylor Swift and all her army will be, you know what? Fuck it. They're just going to replace Patrick Mahomes with Taylor Swift. My God.
Oh my God, that'd be funny.
That would be funny. Well, Dara, thanks for coming. Disney coming in as the queen of most returning guests. Loved your story this morning. It honestly gave me a giggle. Also, thank you for repping Dildo Newfoundland. I almost fucking died when seeing Butter.
Oh God.
Always repping dildo. There's a little dildo in everyone.
Wow.
Dildo
less.
Also, I know I'm always razzing Nard, but I will be one of the first people to get a dag sweater. So like, don't come for me in the comments.
Yeah, the super villains will come at you, Courtney.
I know. I'm like, super villains, stay away. I totally support King Dag. Don't come for me. I'm Court, aka the Disney Sims, aka Townie Tales. I am a Sim storyteller, architectural drafter in real life. So I do real life build buy mode. I am OG Simmer, been playing for forever. And yeah, I love being on these podcasts and talking everything townies and lore, and pumped to talk about vampires with our Sims guru, Mr. Gonz.
Hey.
I literally have, thank you, Cora. I literally had a dream, like, I think it was like the other night, that you became a Sims guru and like you just started making all the townies. So I'm gonna manifest this so this can
Nice.
continue to happen.
It needs to happen.
It needs
Gonz,
to happen.
Like, yeah, if anybody needs to get like hired to like actually just run the Sims, like that's
Yeah,
your
there you go.
lifelong
Facts.
mission. Like you just need
Facts.
to like be like the Sims overlord.
Yeah, that's what's
Like-
gonna happen, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The EA is gonna be like, I think I want you to be the executive producer of The Sims. Do you have any
That'd be dope.
making experience? No, not really, but I think I know
I
I know
can
how to
make
do-
gummy bear pancakes.
I can make gummy bear pancakes, so I think I'm qualified for
Nice.
this. All right, I think I can handle this.
Oh my god. Well, Gonz, take us away. I want to learn everything about vampires.
Yeah, absolutely. So in our previous episode about spellcasters, we discussed the relationship between spellcasters, vampires, and werewolves, right? And I think we need to just do a little short summary of what exactly that was, right? So as we had discussed, spellcasters originally were trying to do the most that they could to maximize the amount of time they spent learning and crafting their magical ability, right? So one of the things that they felt they were, held back by was a necessity to like eat and be, right? So they went ahead and they practiced on creating clones of themselves in order to be able to kind of offset some of those necessities, right? The clone could like cook for them and bathe them and take care of them and everything like that, right? But what they didn't anticipate was that the clone themselves had their own needs, right? So the clones had to eat, the clones had to sleep, the clones had to do this and that, right? So they started to further test with them to like prevent that. So they started like feeding them like magical potions and stuff like that, right? What ended up happening, unfortunately, was that it made them become rather ravenous and rather like dangerous. So these clones that were fed all these like magical potions eventually turned on their creators and consumed them. The moment that the blood of the spellcasters that they consumed enter their body, mixed with like their crazy ravenous form, ended up creating the first vampires as we know them, right? And that started a years-long feud between the spellcasters and the vampires, right? The vampires obviously turned against the spellcasters because they were against, being created in the first place. They didn't ask for this, if you will, right? And they started what's called Operation Eternal Flame in the process, right? And that's as much as we know about like the history of that, right? What we know, right, is that we're aware that Vladislav Strahd, Daddy Vlad, as it was, is the first of the vampires. Yeah. However, that would imply that Vladislav Strahd is a clone of some other spellcaster person who looked just like Vlad, implying that he was one of the first, if not like the progenitor of all these vampires. Yeah. Now, vampires were released in The Sims 4 Vampires, right? And they came out with the world of Forgotten Hollow. Okay. What we know about Forgotten Hollow is that it is a world that was apparently discovered and colonized by Vlad, right? However, if you read some of the books in town, you end up learning that Vlad wasn't really like the only one that discovered this town, right? It was him and like a group of individuals who kind of sought out to find this town. However, who they are, what became of them is unknown because the only one to survive that particular excursion was Vlad, right? This obviously brings into conversation the concept of aging. Vlad, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's like the 25th, like Vlad, technically. Or I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember these. Yeah, so he's like
he's still a young adult.
Yeah.
If you look at his age.
Exactly. Yes. So officially, as far as Vlad is concerned, to the populace of Forgotten Hollow, he is the descendant, the great descendant of the original Count Vlad, and he is like Vlad the 25th, right? It's just a little bit unusual that he happens to look exactly like the statue of the founder Vlad in the town, right?
Yeah.
So that's it's kind of that the running joke, right? However, it looks like on the topic of like immortality, it kind of seems as if most occult sims, whether you're a spellcaster, whether you're a vampire, or whether you're a werewolf, seem to have not mechanically in the sims, but in general, seem to have very long lifespans, right? Because as we discussed before with werewolves, right? Greg the werewolf is part of like the original spellcasters that became werewolves, right? So if we assume that Vlad was in the same events of Operation Eternal Flame as was Greg the werewolf, then that would put Vlad and Greg at the exact same age, right? Which means that werewolves are hundreds of years old as well.
I think Court has a
cool.
question with that. I think Court wants to fact check you.
Yeah, I do want to contest this. My only example of this not being the case is so they say when werewolves came out that Lily was related, is the cousin of Caleb and Lilith before.
Yes.
Now, Lily is substantially older than Lilith and Caleb. So I feel like, although I agree that their aging is different and that werewolves do live longer than average sims, I do think werewolves are aging more quickly than vampires are.
I think you're right. I think what we need to consider then, or we need to revise our statement that it's spellcasters, because Greg was a spellcaster before he was a vampire, right?
You mean werewolf?
Well, before he was a werewolf. Yes.
No, before he was a werewolf.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, got me one in, baby. Got me one in. Just kidding.
Yeah. So Vlad, on the topic of Vlad, right? Now I think most players know Vlad as being the that one sim who always wants to come over, and you need to make sure that you never open your door to him, right? That's actually like common like vampire lore as a whole, is that you should never invite a vampire into your house. I made that mistake. I've invited some vampires into my house, so I have to deal with that nowadays, right? But yeah, that's that sucks. That was such a corny pun. What the hell?
I missed it.
No, but Vlad actually, so I made a whole video about this, but Vlad has a whole lot of like different cultural references to his character, right? So obviously his like design, Vlad's design of how he looks, right, is based off of the original film House of Dracula, which released in like 1945, which actually showed a very kind of polished, regal Dracula, right? He had like the goatee, right, and the slick back hair and everything, and that's really where Vlad gets his design from, right? Vlad's dark form, of course, is based off of Nosferatu, which came out in 1922. If you haven't heard that name, I'm sure you've seen it. Obviously, we don't have an image of it, but Nosferatu is pretty iconic in his look. He looks like a gremlin. He looks like a posh golem, right? But Vlad's dark form is absolutely like a reference to that. He changes completely. Like Vlad goes from like this really like pretty looking man to just a goblin, you know. So it very much is that. His name, of course, and this is where we get nerdy, right? If we weren't nerdy enough, we're about to get even more nerdy. So Vlad's last name is von Strahd, right? And Strahd is actually a reference to Dungeons and Dragons, because in Dungeons and Dragons, the vampire daddy of Dungeons and Dragons is called Strahd, right? So the Sims actually made a reference to him by giving him that sort of last name, right? So yeah, they kind of stuffed Vlad full of different Easter eggs and everything like that, right?
That's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So obviously we know him as Vampire Daddy. He helped found Forgotten Hollow. Forgotten Hollow, as far as like gameplay mechanics are concerned, we understand it that for some reason the night cycle is longer in Forgotten Hollow than it is anywhere else. They don't really have a reason for that except for the obvious, like, hey, you're a vampire, so you can comfortably live in Forgotten Hollow where you won't, get destroyed by the sun. And I feel like that's actually important to mention. For those of you who don't know, if you're a vampire and you go outside during the day, you might burn. So be
Yeah.
careful with that. So you need to be very careful about that. Luckily, you can just grab like a parasol or an umbrella and you'll be perfectly fine. But that's actually one of the things that they have to.
That's
They
true.
have
It's
to-
a perk too.
If you have an umbrella in The Sims,
Yeah.
as a vampire, you can go outside.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Huh.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I didn't know that.
yeah,
See,
yeah.
y'all don't know about the gameplay tips. Yeah. Some gameplay tips.
Yeah. Mhm.
A day years old. What?
Yeah. And the game is very cognizant of where the sun is shining. So like if you walk under a shadow, you lose that buff, right? So it's very much aware. Like it's not just you're
Oh.
outside. It actually captures where you are to determine that. So yeah, it absolutely
There's
does.
also obviously a perk too. You can get the sun resistant perk if you
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you want to go that route as well.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's one of those little fun things about the game. Yeah, and as far as vampires are concerned, if you didn't know, vampires obviously can suck plasma out of other Sims. It's not blood, it's plasma. It's
Plasma.
different. It's different, all right? It's not the
Keeping
same
it
thing.
PG. Keeping it PG, keeping it PG for all ages.
Exactly. What some people don't actually know is that your sim can actually find a favorite host, which means that there's an actual it's random, but you might find an NPC that you drink plasma from that is your favorite. It actually gives you a unique buff that it was like delicious plasma, right? So the next time you play a sim, you need a vampire sim, you need to like suck everybody in order to get...
Hey.
I just want to say I wouldn't need to suck anybody because Stassi's my favorite host.
Oh, brownie points.
Nice. Do you have any sponsors, by the way, for this episode?
I do not.
Okay, great. Okay, we're all good. All
Nice
right.
feeling.
Sucking dildos that we're
Yeah.
good at.
Oh God. All right.
All right.
No,
Oh, sorry.
This is why these podcasts are 18A kids.
Yeah.
Can we say one more thing, Gonz, about
Yeah.
Vlad? I just like the
Yeah.
idea that there's a lot of like hitting Vlad references throughout the gameplay.
Oh yeah.
Like my favorite, one of my favorite expansion packs is Get Famous.
Yeah.
So when you do one of the gigs, they actually reference Vlad the Third in one of the hardware acting gigs, which is super
Yes.
cool. So there's always those little hidden Easter eggs. I thought that I would bring that
Yeah,
up.
no, absolutely. Yeah, Vlad. So
Thank you,
again, Vlad's long history. He's been so many different things all at once. Like he's been a real estate mogul. He's been an actor. He's been like a renowned chef. Like he's done
Yeah,
so
that's
many
cool.
different things throughout his timeline. So he's honestly he's very interesting. Like if I was executive producer of The Sims, right, which is obviously my next job, I would totally have during Halloween or something like a short like comic of like the many lives of Vlad, where it's
Yeah,
just
be dope.
him like doing random things, like he owns like a McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know?
I tried to do that. With the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
First job, hire nerd.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'll need to do. But that's actually a pretty good series for you, Nard, would be on Halloween of like the many lives of Vlad, where you're just doing like
Yeah,
random
dope.
things with Vlad.
Yeah, I would do that as a series and also incorporate Grim Reaper. Like try to do a off one with all the random things the Grim Reaper could do.
Exactly.
Your Friday the 13th ones are so good. Sorry.
They really are.
not to-
No, they really are.
yeah.
They really are.
I
love 'em.
appreciate that. All right, vampires, y'all, vampires.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So one of the things also to mention before we get into like the townies and the lore of the Forgotten Hollow, we mentioned it here a couple of times, but vampires actually have dark forms, right? And they are forms that you can kind of regularly switch in between from. However, when you're in a dark form, the Sims around you might either get like frightened or they might be a little bit put off by you. But what I love about it, especially with vampires, as far as vampires are concerned, is that they don't necessarily have to be like unattractive or like scary. You can actually make your dark form be like alluring or crazy or whatever, and it actually presents a really fun gameplay opportunity because you're able to use that dark form as just like a secondary like outfit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Where you can just like switch into something manic or something like that if you want to just be crazy and have a good time. Court.
I just want to say, I really enjoy Miss Hell's transformation.
yeah.
She goes from this like teacher-esque looking normal sim, and then her dark form, she has like this like oh my god, what's it called?
Mohawk.
Yeah, mohawk.
Yeah, she has a shaved mohawk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love her form. You should
Yeah.
get her in the gallery.
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually an awesome segue into like the residents of Forgotten Hollow, right? Yeah, so if you don't, so I've learned that a lot of people don't actually know that like the Sims team uploads Sims into the gallery. When I released my video about Mynameisgonz, which we're going to talk about in a moment, everyone was like, where is she? Who is that? Like, what are you talking about? Like, who is this vampire? Like, oh my God, or whatever. And yeah, exactly. And that's actually the case. They don't, for some reason, the common players don't know that the gallery has it. And unfortunately, Forgotten Hollow only has 2 households as the base, right? The first one obviously is Vlad, right? And the second one are the Vitors, right? And the Vitors, obviously it's Caleb Vitor and Lilith Vitor, right?
Team Caleb.
Team Caleb, yeah. So Caleb, this has to be said. Caleb is like the poster boy, hot boy for like everyone out there for some reason.
He doesn't even have a dark form, right?
No, I don't think so. No.
Why is that? Do you know? Oh, sorry,
let me. Yeah, I'll check. Go ahead, Court. What?
I'm pretty sure he does have a dark form. It's just
I don't think
his
so.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
his...
I don't know nothing about Tony, so
Whoa. Holy
we'll check, but I don't think he has a dark form, Court.
Yeah, that's what I
Court's
thought. But
disagreeing
I don't
with
know nothing
you.
I don't know nothing about Tony, so I was just supposed to be listening. So I'm sorry. I don't even supposed to be talking right now.
Okay, no. Okay, hold on. Let me be clear. Actually, okay, he does have a dark form.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm just like, I literally do makeovers, guys. Like, what is it?
So he does. Listen, he does have a dark form. It's just all that changes is its eye color and the paleness of his skin. That's all that changes.
Just said that.
Yeah.
Don't be mansplaining.
Okay. That's why I should just sit back and listen. That's why I should just sit back and listen.
You got your one in. You're good.
Yeah, I did it. My bad. My bad. You're right.
Got you, baby.
Yeah, but
Thanks,
yeah, so Caleb, like I said, is poster boy, hot boy of The Sims. Every time you mention Caleb, everyone's like, "Oh, I married him," or I went out with him. I let him be my host, and all these different things. And don't get me wrong, he's hot, right? He's definitely hot.
Also, I will say, sorry, before we move on from Caleb, there is a huge like towny storyteller world that I'm a part of in The Sims. And there are so many people who are obsessed with Caleb and Morgan Ember getting together, and it's called Kagan. It's like Cagyn, and I am such a fan of the Kagan wagon. Like, anyway, honorary member.
The Kagan
wagon.
Yeah.
So Caleb in the trailer is actually flirts with both a male sim, or at least a masculine sim, and 2 feminine sims. So there obviously is like speculation that he might be bisexual, right? So that's kind of the continued conversation about him. Talking about Lily Zhu, right? Again, and now just add a little bit of context. Lily Zhu is an elder vampire from Moonwood Mill,
Werewolf.
right?
Yep.
Werewolf. Sorry. From Moonwood Mill. That apparently had like some kind of relationship with everybody, right? I know that we mentioned that they're cousins, right?
Yeah, cousins.
Yeah. And she mentioned that that Caleb was like a very like gentle soul as a kid, and it was a very like nice boy growing up, right? And I mean that kind of changed as he grew up, right? He's kind of like a bit of a Lothario, if you will, right? But he and his sister actually are at odds with Vlad, right? Because Caleb Vitor and Lilith Vitor, they don't believe in the act of drinking plasma from other vampires, right? They actually believe that you should get it some other ways. Like if you're a scientist, by the way, you can create plasma. If you're a veterinarian, you can make plasma out of the dogs that visit you, which is super unethical, man. But you absolutely can. If you've never tried it. So if you're a veterinarian and a pet comes for like surgery or whatever, and you're a vampire, you actually have the option to like extract plasma into like a plasma pack as a veterinarian.
That's
So
Take
cool,
notes.
but unethical.
Cool.
Oh,
These are
sorry, that's
small
my
babies.
sorry, that's my cringe trait activated. I'm sorry.
These
My
are
bad.
puppies.
Yeah,
Sorry.
seriously.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I also will say, I feel like it probably upset Lilith that Vlad was the person who transformed her into a vampire as well. So I'm sure that wasn't something easy to overcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel like poor Lilith gets like overshadowed by Caleb a lot of the time.
She's so fascinating though.
She
Like
is.
her traits, she's very creative. She's, I believe, musically inclined as well, or at least artistically inclined.
Yes.
And then she wants to have a family. So like, despite being kind of like a rebellious looking, they're not that they are synonymous with each other, but she's actually like this, like very like maternal, like wants to have a family type girl. I feel like her and Vlad end up together and they have like this like love-hate trope going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Storyteller in me.
So going back to the plasma thing, like
Yeah.
when you're a vampire at first,
Mhm.
are you able to eat food without it tearing up your stomach, or is that like a perk that you can get? 'Cause I'm
In real life or
confused
in
on
The
that.
Sims?
In The Sims.
How would you know?
Because you know how because Vlad couldn't eat. Remember, like every
Right.
time Vlad eats, it tears his stomach up. You know, he's on
Right,
the
right,
toilet
right.
for like.
Yeah,
So I wasn't sure if that's like.
honestly, I don't actually know. That's a
Yeah.
very good question that I can't answer because I've never tried it.
Because I know
what-
Caleb is a foodie, so he can obviously eat food.
right.
Yeah. So I was just curious how they start from the jump.
I think someone in the comments needs to let us know. They need to go test that and let us know immediately.
Yeah,
because
please do.
we don't know. All right, so we need to find out, and then Stassi needs to tell all of us so that we're
Yes.
aware.
Alright.
No, I'm actually curious though about that for sure. But yeah, so the Vitors and Vlad, the Strahd, if you will, they are the only vampire households that we have in Forgotten Hollow. However, there are a lot more households within the gallery that people don't actually know about. And what's actually really interesting about them, and I'm going to talk about all of them, is that it's a lot. Like it's a substantial amount. There's about 9 that we're going to talk about, right? And they actually have their own like internal lore that we're able to shape out. So they exist in 3 groups, right? You have the virtuous vampires, you have the noble vampires, and then you have the rebellious vampires, okay? And the fact that these exist actually holds this consistent theory that there are like these like rival vampire clans that kind of have disagreements about who they are, right? So let's talk about the virtuous vampires first and foremost, right? So the virtuous vampires are Demetrius Troye, Brandy Wood, and Samantha Gratz. Okay. Now, the reason why they're called the virtuous vampires is that imagine like the preppiest vampires you can think of, and that's basically what they look like. Like Demetrius Troye has like the sweater over his shoulders, like wrapped, kind of like a nice button up. He wears like the flip flops. Like he's very much like a preppy individual turned vampire. And his dark form again is very similar to Caleb, where we're just talking like a skin and eye transition, right? Brandy Wood is also a vampire, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she's also the only black vampire in like a pre-made sim, I want to say. I'm gonna check it to be sure.
No, the other Vlad isn't he?
Yes. No.
Whoa. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Holy
Courtney's
shit.
1-0 right now.
That's like 7 no's.
No, no. So Vlad is so the thing is about Vlad, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that he is like super like just like literally like white, like white. No, but I'm wrong. Cat, you said cat. Cat is though. You're right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cat
all
is
right.
Cat K. We'll touch there. We'll touch there.
Okay, there
Yes,
we go. Okay,
yes,
so we were both wrong.
We're both wrong. Yes.
All right. EA's
Um,
not hiring either of us at this point.
Man, collecting some L's.
Yeah, I didn't realize that vampires was gonna bring out the violence in everybody. Like, my
Apparently.
God.
Apparently,
Yeah.
we're not friends after this one. Apparently, no, but yeah. So Brandy Wood again continues her sort of preppy vibe. She wears this like really pretty pink short dress. And her dark form again is mostly just a slight skin change and an eye change. Again, the virtuous vampires are typically known as being like good vampires, right? So they don't drink plasma from human beings. They use plasma packs, etc. The running theory with Brandy Wood, however, is that there's actually a sim in the gallery called Anthony Wood, right? And again, we have nothing to go by that, but they might be related, right? Again, nothing really to go by as far as whether they're related or not. But they do have like
Empire.
no.
Okay.
No.
Interesting.
Yeah. He is a regular sim who is a foodie and wants to be a best-selling author.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have similar face shapes. They have similar eyebrows and lips, etc. So
Cool.
there is a running theory about them. So I'm actually very curious if they are or not. Again, someone in the comments needs to let us know what they think about it, because I'm like,
How do you find this stuff, Gonz? It's amazing.
time and
All
effort, right?
That's dope.
The last of the virtuous vampires, of course, is Samantha Gratz. Okay. So she actually appears in like the trailers and the promotional screenshots for the pack, again, despite the fact that she's in the gallery. She's the last, I said, of the virtuous vampires. Again, she's good. I love her design more than anybody else's. Like she wears Nard's hat like in her, right? And she again, she has like, God, I wish I could explain. She wears like tight jeans and like cowboy boots and like a denim jacket that she kind of ties up on the top. Like she's very, and she has like a choker and everything. Like she's got like this like Southern Texas mom vibes going that I just kind of live for. That I think is just wonderful.
You might even call her a hipster in Southern California.
Exactly.
Got those hipster vibes, you know.
Exactly. She is a genius, though. She's specifically very gloomy, though. So she does have that hipster emo vibe going for her, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, those are the virtuous vampires and their style, right? The next one, I think these are people's favorites, right? Are the noble vampires. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the noble vampires themselves are what you would typically like think a vampire is, right? Exactly. And if you've ever watched What We Do in the Shadows, which is a great vampire TV show that you need to watch if you haven't, they're very much kind of like very similar to that style of vampires, which is very like Baroque, very like noble, you know, very flashy or whatever, right? So of course the first one we have is Innocence, right? Her name, of course, is a pun of innocence.
Innocent.
Right? Yeah. She is, imagine Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
Yes.
And that is Innocence, right? That's exactly what she looks like, right? Her dark form is awesome, right? She basically develops like this like pale skin and like this like dark eyeshadow, right? And it's very prominent. And it's very awesome about her. She herself is probably the funniest vampire that exists in the game. She's cheerful, she's clumsy, right? But she's also alluring. So imagine like a character who like very much is like trying to like romance you and then like trips over her feet as she's coming at you, kind of thing. Like she's so silly about her general way of being, right? But I love her. She's absolutely adorable, and I feature her a lot in my videos because she's so cute. She's so cute. The next one, of course, is El de Vampiro, which I don't know if she had that name before she became a vampire or not. That's remains to be seen. I can't even begin to describe her. Okay, but I'm definitely gonna try because I can paint mental pictures here. Okay, imagine blonde hair with like the most giant Sailor Moon buns that you can think of on your head. Okay, like that's the best way I can explain it. Okay, and she has this like beautiful purple dress with like a high neck, and yeah, she so is, and she has like adornments on her hair all over that like cross into her neck and everything, and she is, again, she's absolutely regal in her look, right? Of course, with that being said, she's materialistic, she's a snob, she's a music lover, so she is quite literally as high end as you can think of. She aspires to be a musician. What musician that might be, I actually don't know. I've never actually gone that far to examine what musical instrument she particularly likes. I want to go with like organ because Vlad does also. But I might just be making assumptions, right? But I'm actually very curious about
metal.
heavy metal. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's how she. That's how she
Let's hear
works
that
out.
breakdown.
And yeah, and then of course the final noble vampire is Vlad Bloodvein. Okay. Now again, if you've watched What We Do in the Shadows, this is like a direct callback to that show. This, God, how do you even explain him? Imagine a very tall man with a like giant like Abe Lincoln top hat, a goatee, and like 10-foot long brown hair that just goes all the way straight down. Like he is so posh, and he wears like a purple blazer, like the short God, I don't even know what you call it because I'm not fab like that. It's like a tuxedo coat almost, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like what
Not
like
one
what
of these though.
No. So
Like a sports jacket.
no, like imagine like what like a butler would wear, right? But purple,
okay.
right?
Mm.
And
Gold.
he's got those like tight like dress pants with like the hem has like that one long line down the pant, and he has these like blue, like sorry, these like white, like super like shiny shoes. He's super fab, and I love him. Yeah, he himself is apparently a reference to Bram Stoker's Dracula from the movie, right? So if you guys remember Gary Oldman in that, that's basically what he looks like. His name, of course, is Bloodvein, which is a combination of blood and vein, right? That's the joke. He himself is a romantic bookworm, bit of a Renaissance sim, if you will. But yeah, the three of them are characters. Like they really stand out. And again, if you like your quintessential vampire, your posh vampire, these are kind of the ones for you, right? And then finally, of course, we have the rebellious vampires, which if you were to search the gallery for the rebellious vampires, this is what you will find. Like these are like very popular in the Sims community, right? For what they are. So of course, the first one is Mary Belle Smith, or Miss Hell, if you will. Okay, so she's actually very very popular because she was used in the teaser for the vampires, where she was actually turned into a vampire, yeah, by Vlad, and then she's the one who turns Caleb. Yeah, so she's turned by vampire, and then she turns Caleb. I will fight you to the death on that one.
So she turned Caleb.
Yes, that's right.
Yes,
that's
you're right.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
yes,
You
yes.
are right.
It's all right. It's all right. So yeah. So she was born as Mary Belle Smith, okay, and she is your typical plain Jane. All right. Nothing really stands out about her. She's very basic, very simple, or whatever. She was very proud of herself, and then she was turned into a vampire, right? And this is silly, but this is actually in a mirror in The Sims 4 Werewolves. Okay. But apparently when she was a human, she loved her teeth. Like she was so like she loved her straight teeth, right? And then when she became a vampire, she was so upset that she could no longer look at her teeth in a mirror because you can't see yourself in a mirror, that she smashed the mirror and took on the name Miss Hell. So that's why she became Miss Hell, is because she couldn't see her teeth.
That's cool.
But yeah, her dark form, obviously, and again, being that they are the rebellious vampires, they drink plasma from Sims rather than from plasma packs. Her dark form is like very like skin tight red, like see-through clothing. She has, again, like Court mentioned, the red mohawk. Right? She wears like skin tight leather pants and stuff like that. Like she is extraordinarily like badass in that regard, right?
She looks cool.
She really is. She really is awesome. The next one to talk about is Cat Cave. Okay. She's another one of the rebellious vampires.
Love her look.
Yeah, it really is a nice look. She's got kind of like another kind of like goth regal look, right? She wears like, again, she wears like skin tight leather, black with gold trim. She wears high boots. She has like, I only know to call it like the emo hair, which is just hair that kind of goes down and covers an eye, right? She's got incredible makeup though, and again, I can't describe makeup despite wearing it. But she has like eyebrow makeup that curves across her eyebrow and then goes down into her eye, that crosses her eyelash almost. It's absolutely
Black Swan look.
Exactly. Black Swan.
Is her regular form and dark form the same? Or
as far as I know, again, it's just like a skin and an eye change that happens there. But yeah, for the most part, yeah. All right. And then of course, we have Marcus Crow. Okay. Marcus Crow, I think, is probably my least favorite of all of them, unfortunately. So if I can describe him, imagine like a gym bro who becomes a vampire. So
he's a little buff.
Yeah, he is. He's buff. He's blonde. He's got like the side part of his hair, kind of like again, typical gym bro, like LA gym bro.
Bad energy.
Exactly.
A gym bro that likes music.
Exactly. He likes music. Yeah. He wears like gloves and all around. He's just like a cool dude. But yeah, again, all three of these vampires, they're very much known for being rebellious, dastardly. Again, they look very much kind of like a gang, if you will. But for all I've said about Marcus, just like Nard said, he does like music. He's kind of a goofball. He's kind of cheerful. So he's just a Chad dude, like a Chad bro, like in view only, right? He's actually
in view only. He's a Chad bro.
Exactly.
But if you get to know him, he's a cool dude.
Exactly. Don't judge a book by its cover is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah. It seems that a lot of the vampires have interest in music. I wonder if that's intentional.
I think it is, especially because Vlad has like the very kind of unique fact that he plays like the organ, like the pipe organ. Yeah. So I think that's, again, one of the continued sort of themes about vampires is their love for music as far as it goes, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so those are all the townies. They're all very interesting in what they do. Cool. In The Sims. Now, as far as like vampires are concerned in Forgotten Hollow, yeah, there aren't. Have y'all ever had a good way of playing a vampire outside of Forgotten Hollow, like in general? No. They're very much kind of a niche thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you can't really use them outside of anything else, you know?
Yeah.
it's like with werewolves, right? Again, they're kind of relegated to Moonwood Mill, but I've seen them used in other places and things like that. Of course, obviously, without, I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about it, but obviously there's also like the furry component to it that's also used outside of that and everything like that. They're mostly relegated to where they are. I feel like alien life stages also, like, they're used more often. Mermaids are used more often outside of things, but vampires are harder.
Yeah.
As far as gameplay is concerned, it's really limiting. You know?
Yeah, because I even tried to do like a family out in Sulani with the vampires, and it just didn't work. It didn't register too much. Like a vampire is trying to do their dart form out in the ocean, getting a little swim off with the mermaids. Just didn't work. It just didn't sound good. It didn't look good.
No, I agree with that 100%. I think the vampire itself is a sort of like a fun thing to do if you want to make like a dominating sort of lifestyle. Like one of the things that I like to do, for example, when I play vampires, is I'll have like the overlord gameplay where like my goal is to like turn every single sim in my world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
like I'm single-handedly just going around like turning everyone to be like my thrall, if you will, right? So
I've done that before. right before they launched the werewolves pack.
Yeah,
I had some vampires go into a city of I think it was San Myshuno, and turn all of them into vampires so they could start this big epic like vampire versus werewolf war before the pack came out. But yeah, I don't know. Storytelling, everybody. Storytelling.
Exactly. No, exactly.
Yeah.
You know it. Me and the homie Sammy, Samantha, out there turning everybody in the, they're hitting up the coffee shop later and getting our little latte on,
Exactly.
Anyway, because she's hipster, but yeah.
So Vlad, talking about Vlad for a moment, he himself, right? Apparently when child sims have nightmares, they actually have nightmares of Vlad, which is again kind of scary because like what's Vlad doing in their mind? Like what's going on here, right? It is yeah. But it is something that can happen to child sims. They'll actually get scared and they'll think about Vlad and they'll wake up crying or whatever, run to mama, daddy, and stuff like that. But yeah,
I would not be crying if I was dreaming about Vlad.
All right, I'm just sorry.
They come in threes, y'all. They come in threes.
So I think that's actually a great question for your audience, Stassi, would be like, every time that Vlad has knocked, do they let Vlad in? Like, yes, no, do they? I'm curious. I'm curious to see. Yeah, I'm curious to see who they do. I let him in one time, and that was a mistake because then he just started using my pool. Like, don't be a freeloader, man. What are you doing? Like, you're just hanging out in my pool. At least try to drink my plasma, bro. Like, don't just hang out.
You know what? Today's Sunday. I'll ask them today. Episode comes out Wednesday. They'll be like, why is Stassi asking this? You don't ask us these things. They'll understand.
Exactly. That's a good thing to know, because we need to know. We need to know whether they let Vlad in or not. It's a mistake to let him in though, so don't do it.
I can change him.
You can change him.
Yeah. He's just a bad boy. He just needs some love.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Misunderstood.
Exactly.
I can change him.
Oh God, he's too much. He's too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's everything there is to know about vampires in The Sims 4. They're definitely a little bit lacking. I wish they did expand on it just a little bit more. There's a lot to talk about insofar as like the townies and making stories about the townies and everything like that. But Forgotten Hollow is very small. Like,
it's a small area. How many lots are there in total? Is it 4 or 5? 5?
1, 2, 3,
It's
4, 5. I think it's 5. Yes. It's 5.
Yeah.
It's 5. With one being Vlad's and one being the Vitors, and then 3 extra ones that are just there. And then you have the little park. Yeah. You have that little park there in the middle and everything like that. I mean, it has its atmosphere and everything like that. But again, I'm hoping that The Sims continue, and I'm going to say this every single podcast. I continue to hope that The Sims will expand on its lore telling abilities, right? Especially now that they're expanding like the profile option, because like in For Rent you can snoop, and when you snoop you actually gain like secrets. Which, by the way, it's totally random. I'm sorry, but some of the secrets are messed up. I was playing once, and like one of my NPCs, I found out that they like abandoned a dog. Like you just like throw that on somebody. Like all of a sudden they left the dog.
That's
like
sad.
They ruined that sim for me. I was like, all right, well, you can't exist anymore, clearly.
Oh my god.
That's sad.
Yeah. So they need to be a little careful with that. But yeah, I do.
Peter's gonna come at Sims.
Exactly.
Sure, don't mess with those pets.
Exactly. So I'm really hoping that they continue to add flavor and information to Sims. And again, I'm not asking EA or the Sims team to write a whole storyline. Just again, add little.
I am hired on. On for president of Sim Nation.
Exactly. I'll have a whole little blog where I break down timelines from childhood to their current state. That's exactly what I'll do.
Can you please do that? Oh my.
See, you know what I wish The Sims would do, and after this is now our third podcast, but what is graphic novels?
Oh yeah,
making it as a spin-off of saying, here is Vlad's origin history. Go nuts. I would buy that fucking More Sims than a t-shirt with a goddamn plumb bob that people have been making on Redbubble for like 10 years. I would buy that.
Yeah, like do a different issue like once like a week or once a month or something like that. Like people would totally buy like a little Sims comic about that stuff.
And I honestly think that they would strengthen the like Sim storytelling community on Tumblr and Instagram and everything, because they would basically be saying like this is like a form of storytelling that we are like endorsing, right? Which
they can make the comic book out of the Sims.
Exactly,
like that's basically what my thing is like, right? It's my own personal comic book. They could do that.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that would honestly be a really cool thing for them to do. Yeah. I'll suggest it to them the next time I talk to the president. I'll let them know.
Yeah, you just call him up. Can I at least get like 10% of that idea behind this?
Sure. What were you saying?
That's fun. I just want to say before we move on, like based on all of our personalities or your personality, what vampire household would you guys put yourself in?
Ooh, that is a good question. Like part of me wants to say that I would be noble, but I'm gonna be real with myself, and I'd be virtuous. Like for sure, I'd be virtuous. I feel like that's right.
You are noble. You're a bougie bitch.
Yeah, I think I would be same Gonz. I think I would be in that one. I think.
Yeah. What about you guys?
What about you?
I'm not joining any of them. I'm just moving in with Vlad.
Wow.
Go ahead, Seth.
No, go ahead, Gonz.
No, I was saying you're either rebellious, noble, or virtuous. Which one are you?
Yeah.
Rebellious.
Like a hard question.
As a Slytherin, I rep Slytherin. Like
I'm a Slytherin too, but I'm the posh side of Slytherin. I hang out with Draco Malfoy. Yeah, I hang out with the Malfoys whenever I get a chance.
What do you think I would be?
In there? Yeah, so I feel okay. I feel like virtuous would probably be where she would go, but I think there's a part of Court that's like in the rebellious state. She hangs out with the rebellious vampires on the weekends and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for coming, Gonz. Thank you so much for coming here today and sharing your knowledge about vampires. I learned a lot. Like I knew, I only knew about Vlad.
We really sunk our teeth into this, guys.
Oh,
really?
Oh, nice. That pun.
Why I keep going around.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing your knowledge. Let's wrap this up. Gonz, where can we find you?
You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch as Mynameisgonz.
I love it. Nard, where can we find you?
All things social, Nardvillian.
And please go, as tomorrow will be Nard's 3-year anniversary, go show him some love.
Some love.
Some love.
Some love.
And Court, where can we find you?
You can find me at the Disney Sims and Townie Tales on Simstagram. You can find me TikTok, the Disney Sims, and EA Gallery, the Disney Sims, if you want to download my Disney characters.
I love that. If you like this podcast, please consider liking and subscribing. I am on Patreon. I don't really need a self-plug. I'm okay. Please go enjoy these guys' content because they are absolutely amazing. I just make fart jokes and learn about the Sims. Oh, I guess if you do like this podcast, please consider nominating it for Best Sims Podcast at the Simmers Awards. Please also consider nominating Mynameisgonz, Nardvillian, and Disney Sims in their respective categories, as well as nominations will be continuously going out, I think, until the 25th.
I want to say so, yes.
25th or something like that.
25th
Yeah.
or 26th, and then we at the end of that last week of the December will be the final stages of voting. So please, 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 if you like myself, Gonz, Nard, or Disney, please go consider voting for us. I will actually have
vote in general. That is so cool.
or
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Vote for me for most cringe. Most cringe simmer. Vote for me.
An award for that, Nard. They would just give it
Oh.
to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for coming here today. I love this series so much as I continue to learn more, and we will have a special holiday themed episode in a couple weeks to continue on our townie lore knowledge of The Sims 4. And again, thank you, Gonz, Nard, and Disney for coming here today. I love you all and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Bye.
Bye.